created a lie.
Cue the song.
They controlled a life.
I'm Trooper Baby.
I'm not allowed to talk to you.
And they called it
I've been your best friend since we were 7 years old, Truman. Last thing I'd ever do is lie to you.
entertainment.
Now, going close. I think I'm mixed up in something. Everybody seems to be in on it.
He's not a performer, he's a prisoner. Look at what you've done to him.
Don't tell me what's happening, I'll report you!
It's the movie Newsweek calls the #1 film of the summer.
He's gone.
One of the all-time great films.
Give me some lightning.
An incredible movie.
You can't let him die in front of a live audience. He was born in front of a live audience.
Jim Carrey is a revelation. It's the movie of the decade. The Truman Show, rated PG. June 5th everywhere.
I mean, we could really be quick on this one, because honestly, what else is there to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already? It's a film that predates the reality TV world that we live in right now. I mean, this is a film that basically showed everybody that, hey, Jim Carrey isn't just this funny comedian. He could be a really damn good actor, and this is easily one of his strongest performances, and it shows his range as an actor, and he nails the role so well here. And I mean, I don't think anybody else could really play this role. I mean, they looked at some guys like, I think Robin Williams was one of the early people they wanted to be in this. I think they were going to give him, I think they were going to cast him, but then Peter Weir, the director of this, cast Carrey after seeing him in Ace Ventura, seeing that his performance in that film reminded him of Charlie Chaplin. And like I said, it was the film that was used to show everybody that, hey, this guy is not just is not only a really funny comedian, but he can be a really damn good actor too. And this was probably the best film he ever made, and it's a shame that he never got the proper respect he deserved for it. Like, he didn't get an Academy Award nomination for this, but Ed Harris did. The film got nominated for Best Director and also for Best Picture. But how can you not look at this performance that Jim Carrey gives in this movie and not think about giving him an Academy Award nomination for this? And it just goes to show you that the Academy Awards, like, they don't want to give great performances like this one the proper respect they deserve. Like, they'd be more than happy to nominate Jim Carrey for a film that's a typical Oscar-based type film, but in here, where he's actually trying his best here and actually proving he can be very successful here, like you would think that he would have had a better chance of getting an Oscar nomination here, but nope, didn't do it. So, but regardless of that, he is very good in the film. Everybody else in the film is really good as well. You have Laura Linney playing a very good role here as his wife, his TV wife, I should say. Ed Harris playing the creator, Christoph, which is interesting because Dennis Hopper was originally cast in the role, but he actually left filming while they were doing it over creative differences, and he was actually a last-minute replacement. So it would have been very interesting to see if Dennis Hopper would have given a really great performance that would have given him an Oscar nomination as well, but it's tough to say about in that front. But Noah Emmerich is very good here, and Natasha McElhenney playing a role in here is very good. You have Holland Taylor playing Truman's mother. Peter Krause is in here from 6 Feet Under. Philip Baker Hall. Harry Shearer is the newscaster. Paul Giamatti is one of the control room directors. I mean, there's a strong cast in this movie, and it's very interesting what they could have done with this film. The whole idea of having cameras everywhere, like everywhere in this world, and they were actually going to go one step further. I actually heard a story that they were actually going to put cameras inside the theater while people were watching the movie to create like this ultimate effect of basically that we're all being watched, but the technology just wasn't there at the time. And even then, I don't know if it really would have worked if they had the technology to do it now. It's tough to say what really would have been the overall impact if they had actually gone through with that plan. But it would have been something very interesting to see, even if it didn't work out in the end. And the movie just overall is visually gorgeous to look at. The last scenes of the movie where Truman finally realizes what he's basically come to the realization of, that this whole world around him is fake, and he comes to the wall where it's supposed to be where the sky is, and you see the steps there. Just some great visuals that still holds up after all these years, and the performance that Carrey gives once he has that sudden realization that everything that he's ever known has been completely fake. Like, it's a great performance. It's greatly shot. It's a wonderful movie. Really, I don't know if I could say anything more about this film that hasn't already been said already. The Truman Show is just a fantastic film. If you have not seen it, please go check it out. They just re-released it on 4K in time for the 25th anniversary, I should say. I I'm still trying to look for it because I want to see this. I want to get a Blu-ray version of this film. But if you haven't seen this movie, definitely go check it out. It's worth it. I don't think I need to tell you to see it already because you pretty much the people who have seen this movie will probably tell you the exact same thing. Go check this movie out. You will not be disappointed by it. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Michael Douglas and Gwyneth Paltrow in A Perfect Murder.
It's not happiness to see me, is it?
He was waiting for me.
He knows. You did not meet my wife by chance.
What are you saying?
It was a con, and my wife is the grand prize.
I want
You got a box big enough to hold $500,000
for
killing my wife.
That's not happiness to see me, is it?
A Perfect Murder, rated R. Starts Friday, June 5th at a theater near you.
It may have been a perfect murder, but it was a movie that we've seen done to death so many times. This is basically just a remake of Alfred Hitchcock's film Dial M for Murder. Although the characters' names have been changed around, much of the plot has been rewritten and altered in some form, mostly trying to make you think it's an original idea, when it really is not. It's also loosely based on the Dial M for Murder play by Frederick Knott. And the story basically goes, you have Michael Douglas as this millionaire industrialist who's a man who has everything, but what he craves most, the love and fidelity of his wife, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. And he's a hugely successful player in the New York financial world. He considers her to be his most treasured acquisition, but she needs more than simply the role of dazzling accessory. Brilliant in her own right, she works at the UN and is involved with a struggling artist played by Viggo Mortensen, who fulfills her emotional needs. And when her husband discovers her indiscretion, he sets out to commit the perfect murder and inherit her considerable trust fund in the bargain. Which, again, this is a story that's been done to death so many times. It's like you're watching a Lifetime movie, except it's on the big screen because you've got names like Michael Douglas and Gwyneth Paltrow and Viggo Mortensen. I mean, if you had taken those names out of there, this movie wouldn't be in theaters. This would be the Lifetime movie of the week or something on NBC or ABC. And I mean, I know the age differences. The age difference here really plays into effect here because when this movie came out, Michael Douglas was like 50. I think it was 53 years old when this came out, and then Gwyneth Paltrow was like in her 20s, So, like, it just doesn't. It's like, I don't know. Like that's a connection that doesn't really work that well. Like, if they had good chemistry, maybe I could buy into it. Maybe I could buy the whole May-December romance type of thing here, but it just doesn't work here. Like, it doesn't really... You never really believe that Michael Douglas really cared about this person, which I don't think that was the intention to begin with. I think, like I said, she was just there to be an object, a toy, as an accessory to him, to tell people that, hey, check out my hot wife here. And it's just like... There's no redeemable quality about this film whatsoever. And this is directed by the guy who did The Fugitive, which is a fantastic film. And to come off of this, come off and do this, it just doesn't work. It's not enjoyable. You could pretty much tell what the twist is going to be going towards the end of the movie. There's no real cleverness to it. There's nothing intriguing about it. The acting is not that great. It's a film that just really does not work. It's a movie that this would have easily been a TV movie had it not gotten names like Michael Douglas and Gwyneth Paltrow attached to it. Just a completely forgettable movie. Just a misfire of a movie. A misfire of a movie big time. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next film, and that is Noah Baumbach's Mr. Jealousy.
You know Lester. You both know each other.
She's my girlfriend, Ash.
Perhaps we should all go back inside.
So you have Eric Stoltz playing this guy named Lester, who's an occasional substitute teacher, and he's very jealous. He's jealous about the last boyfriend of her slightly wacky current partner, Ramona. Ramona in this film being played by, I want to say, Parker Posey? No, Annabelle Sciorra. Annabelle Sciorra is the person that she is Ramona in this. She's an arrogant best-selling author named Dashiell. Dashiell is played by Chris Eidman. And Lester joins Dashiell's therapy group under an alias to find out if Dashiell still has any feelings for her. And I saw Noah Baumbach's other movie, Kicking and Screaming, which I thought was pretty good. This one I have not seen. It's one of those ones that I haven't seen from this director. I've seen a lot of his movies, like Squid and the Whale, and Margot the Wedding, and also Marriage Story, and even the ones he's written. I mean, he just wrote Barbie, which just came out recently. Most of his movies are pretty good. This one, I haven't heard too many people say if it's any good or not, so it could definitely go either way. It could be a movie like it could be a lesser film, or it could be one of his more underrated gems. I really don't know for certain because I haven't seen the film. I can't really delve more into too much It's, what the hell am I even saying there? I can't delve into it too much more because I haven't seen it, but I mean, it does have potential to be good. I mean, the last movie this guy did was pretty good, so I think it could be pretty good. Maybe one day I'll definitely check it out. But let's go ahead and move on to the last movie we have here, and that is Beyond Silence.
Nicht mehr aus. Ich halte die Stille nicht mehr aus in diesem Haus.
So in this movie, you have this woman named Laura, who, since the earliest days of her childhood, she's had a difficult but important task. Both her parents are deaf-mute, and Laura has to translate from sign language to the spoken word and vice versa when her parents want to communicate with other people. Getting older and more mature, she becomes more interested in music and wants to play the clarinet successfully. However, her parents are deaf, and they can't share Laura's musical career. And the day comes when Laura has to decide between her parents and her own ambitions. That's really all I know about this film, except for the fact that it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film in '98. But that's pretty much all I know about it. I've never seen this movie. I've never really had an interest to go check it out for myself. But it probably is pretty good. But again, I don't really know too much more about it, so I can't really say if it's any good. So, quick one on that one. So that is Beyond Silence.
Ready to go.
Is it safe to fly?
It is with me.
Oh, you're that good, huh?
I'm the best you've ever been with.
I'm not sure I trust your equipment.
We may be old, but we're sturdy. What kind of work you do?
I'm an editor for a magazine called Dazzle.
10 ways to light his fire. You know how a woman gets a man excited?
How?
She shows up. That's it. We're guys. We're easy.
Two strangers on a flight to Tahiti are about to make an unscheduled stop.
Whoa! Can we reattach it somehow?
Oh, sure. We'll, glue it back on. So how do we find them? Well, we're going to fly over the water and look out the window.
It's a boat. If you were half a pilot, we wouldn't be on this island!
I'm the best pilot you're ever going to meet.
I've flown with you twice. You've crashed half the time.
Sometimes I just want one damn thing to go right. The most romantic vacations
I need you to be my confident captain.
that's my job. Are the ones you don't plan.
All right, Woody's going to take good care of your girlfriend.
What do you mean by that?
Noah!
I'm sorry.
You're kissing me?
No, for this.
Harrison Ford
I really liked kissing you.
and H.
If I start, I'm not going to be able to stop.
That's good.
Doesn't it?
David Schwimmer.
Do you want to stay here tonight?
No, holy.
6 days, 7 nights.
Some sort of creature has just swum up my pants.
That's bad.
This summer, find adventure in the most remote place known to man.
Better not catch you smiling.
I mean, I've talked before about how Ivan Reitman's probably one of our great directors who sadly is no longer with us. And he was a great director because he was able to do not just the big budget comedies like Ghostbusters and big hit comedies like Twins and Kindergarten Cop, but there were those movies here and there where he tried to experiment a little bit more. Something like Legal Eagles, which was a movie that was definitely outside of his norm, which was the first movie he did after Ghostbusters, which was not the best movie overall, but I give him credit for trying to do something different. It wasn't a bad movie. It was actually a decent film, but nothing really spectacular about it. And you could probably say the same thing about this particular film. I mean, you basically have a story where, Harrison Ford and Anne Hesh, these two people, they fly over, they're flying to Tahiti, they get caught in the storm, they get trapped on a deserted island, and they realize that there's people out to get them. And you have the subplot with David Schwimmer, who's the girlfriend of Anne Hesh's character, the boyfriend of Anne Hesh's character. If it was the girlfriend, it'd be a different story, but the boyfriend of Anne Hesh's character, and he's teamed up with this other woman played by Jacqueline Oberdorf. If you don't know her, you know her mostly as the voice of Ramirez from Atlantis: The Lost Empire, and I gotta say, man, she looks pretty good back then. I mean, she still looks pretty good now, but I like how the trailer basically shows you one of the reasons why to see that movie, to see her in that, and that's probably the most memorable scene with her in it, obviously. But I mean, I say that, but she's all right in the movie. David Schwimmer, not so much. I feel like David Schwimmer's kind of like it feels like David Schwimmer, I think, is channeling his Ross a little bit too much in this from Friends. Like, it doesn't really feel like he's really trying all that much here, but he's not the worst in this movie, but he just certainly is not the best thing about the film. I think the best thing about this movie is Harrison Ford and Anne Heche. You do buy their chemistry together when they're trapped on this deserted island. You can buy into the fact that Harrison Ford would fly a plane like this because he is a certified pilot, and he's been known to fly his own airplane. And he actually did his own flying in this film. And I think the movie overall is okay. It's nothing spectacular. I think the performances and the chemistry between Ford and Heche really carries the movie overall. There are some good, funny moments here and there between the two of them. The jokes overall are fun, and I do like that Ivan Reitman tried to do something a little bit different outside of his norm, kind of like with what he did with Legal Eagles. This is a film that's very much different from what you'd expect from the director of Ghostbusters, Twins, and Kindergarten Cop. This feels like a much different movie that he would usually do. Not necessarily meaning that he succeeded most of the way. It does get it's like the subplot with David Schwimmer's character feels kind of forced in. It feels like that should be part of another movie altogether. It doesn't feel like it's really connected to this movie in general. The screenplay itself is pretty predictable. You can kind of predict everything that's going to happen, but once again, I give a lot of credit to Ivan Reitman for trying something a little bit different outside of his normal shtick, because the last film he did, Father's Day, was a notorious disaster on so many levels. You wouldn't expect a film with him and having Robin Williams and Billy Crystal among his stars to fail as badly as that did. And this was a nice return to form for him. So while it didn't necessarily work all the way through, I will give it credit because it is a film that is actually, it has more good moments to it than bad moments. Would I say it's a classic movie? No. Would I say it's one of his best movies overall? Probably not. Honestly, I don't know if any of these people in this movie I would consider this their best movie, but it is a competently made film. It's a very well-made film. A good film that's fun for a good Saturday afternoon movie. If there's nothing else to watch and it's on TV, I'd say watch it there, but I won't say it's a classic movie by any means, but it's definitely, I think, a lot better than most people would give it credit for. You want to see one of Ivan Reitman's more interesting films that he did outside of his normal comedies, definitely give this one a chance. I think you might actually find a lot to enjoy about it, honestly. So that's 6 Days, 7 Nights. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie here. Probably the more notable comedy that came out this weekend, and that is Can't Hardly Wait.
Their first night of freedom
He is the most dope guy in school. Yeah, and school's over.
was their last chance, Amanda, to say what they want. God, you're a hottie. Hey, can I see your name? What? Do what they feel. I got you wear a hat. Listen here, Hootie. And be who they are.
I wonder how William was doing at the party.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs!
Can't Hardly Wait. Rated PG-13. Opens everywhere June 12th.
Speaking of people who looked pretty good back then and still look pretty good now, Jennifer Love Hewitt, man. Oh, boy, she looked pretty good in this movie. And she still looks pretty good even to this day. But this is Can't Hardly Wait, probably one of the biggest cult teen comedies of the 90s. I mean, Clueless was a big hit during this time period, and a year later American Pie would come out, which would do a whole lot better. The basic concept of this movie is that you have it taking place during a high school graduation party in the late 1990s, in a style much like the high school movies of the 1980s. The idea of setting most of the movie at a party based primarily on the movies it was basically inspired by John Hughes movies and the party scene from Say Anything. And you basically have different stories going on here. You have Ethan Embry wanting to get together with Jennifer Love Hewitt after she went through this breakup with this boy that she was dating, and you have all these other stories involving characters like Seth Green, Peter Facinelli, Lauren Ambrose, Charlie Korsmo was in this movie. There's a lot of notable names in this film that are all over the place. You see Jason Segel in here, Chris Owen, who would later go on to be in American Pie, Jamie Presley, of course she went on to become a star in My Name is Earl, Tamala Jones, Clea Duvall, who's gone on to become a prolific film and TV actress, Sean Patrick Thomas, Freddie Rodriguez. They even got some guys from Clueless in here. Donald Faison, Breckin Myers in here. Selma Blair is also in this movie. Sarah Rue, Marissa Nichols. Jenna Elfman plays the angel in this movie. Jerry O'Connell. Melissa Joan Hart in this movie. Amber Benson from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Jennifer Elise Cox, you've seen her in a number of movies. There's a lot of people in this film. The story is very generic. It's pretty much every single high school coming-of-age movie you've seen done before. But honestly, what I think kind of makes this one work is that you do relate to these characters a lot more. You do get into the situations that they're in, and you do want to see them meet their goal by the end of it. And I think the movie does a pretty good job of making these characters extremely likable, but that's because you have a really good cast that can make them come together as well as they can here. This is directed by Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elephant, who have written several movies. They wrote a Very Brady sequel. They wrote and directed Josie and the Pussycats, the 2001 movie. They wrote Surviving Christmas, Maid of Honor, Leap Year, Flintstones, and Viva Rock Vegas. They've done a lot of stuff. Most of them not that great, but this is probably easily their best movie that they made. And this is one of the two movies they directed, the other being Josie and the Pussycats. But yeah, if you looked at it on paper, it is pretty much a typical high school comedy in the same vein as something like American Pie, except this one is more appealing to not just the R-rated crowd because this is PG-13. I think American Pie honestly works a lot better because it's able to go that extra level that this movie can't. But at the same time, it works because you like the character so much. It works because you like the comedy so much. It works because you feel the inspiration from what John Hughes did back in the 80s, and also from Say Anything. I mean, this is a film that really, it delivers just enough to make it worth watching. I can definitely see why this movie has had a cult following over the years, and has become the quintessential 90s teen film. One of the quintessential 90s teen films. It's a pretty good movie. I'd say it's not a classic. I don't think it's a classic by any means, but it definitely is a film that should be watched and to appreciate the actors that are involved in here, because I think they're all given that they're all in here, and it is a really enjoyable film. I had a pretty good time watching it. So that's Can't Hardly Wait. That's probably the most notable movie that came out this weekend. Here's my favorite film that came out this weekend, probably one of the greatest underrated comedies of all time, and that is Norm Macdonald's Dirty Work.
Mitch Weaver had a loving girlfriend.
Maybe you'd feel better after we had some sex.
A steady job.
Not only are you fired, your life is over.
And a close family.
You cheated on Mom?
Oh, she was there too. Who do you think took the picture?
Now,
Hey, that's my shirt.
the good life just got better.
It's a long story.
You had sex with her?
Okay, it's a short story.
Norm Macdonald's Dirty Work. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday.
God, I love this movie so much. Dirty Work is basically a story about Norm Macdonald and his best friend, played by Artie Lang. They started a revenge for hire business, and they work to fund heart surgery for Sam's father, Pops, played by Jack Warden. And when they take on the work of an unscrupulous businessman, played by Christopher McDonald, in order to be paid, they create a revenge scheme of their own. And you find out pretty much early on in the movie that Pops is actually also Mitch's father, because it's revealed that Pops had an affair with Mitch's mother, and so that makes him and Sam brothers in that case there. So there's even more added into the storyline going in here. In fact, that trailer is very misleading with some of the stuff that they show you there, if you've actually seen the movie. But most notably, this is the first starring vehicle for both Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang. For Norm Macdonald, he's coming off of Saturday Night Live. He was fired from SNL not too long before this movie came out. And Artie Lang, of course, was known for his work with the Howard Stern Show, and most notably, this is the first feature film directed by Bob Saget, coming a year after his long-running role as the host of America's Funniest Home Videos. He had also been on Full House for 7 years before that got canceled 3 years ago. And there's no doubt about it that Norm Macdonald was one of the funniest comedians working in the business, and you know, it was a shame that he had an all but brief film career as a leading actor shortly after leaving SNL, basically being fired from SNL, because there were a couple of pretty solid and funny comedies that he was in after he left. And, you know, for Bob Saget, you know, he was coming off of hosting America's Funniest Home Videos, and 3 years after the much more family-friendly Full House ended, for him to take on such a raunchy project like this as his first outing after two family-friendly shows, you know, more power to him. And really, it worked out well, because this is one of the funniest, most over-the-top movies you can ever see. You have a movie where they take every opportunity and every joke they have to find a way to make it funny and work, even after you've seen it so many times. Like, there's a scene where Mitch and Sam are just talking over a building, and about the events that just happened prior to the scene, and basically you just have a guy screaming at the top of, they're on top of this building, and you don't know what they're doing at first, and then all of a sudden you hear this guy screaming, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you, a-hole!" And Norm Macdonald's just like, "Sam, are you peeing off the side of the building?" I'm paraphrasing, but you get kind of the idea there. I mean, yeah, it's childish, but the way that scene is shot is so perfectly put together, and the outcome of that scene is just hilarious. And there's just silly moments, like you see Norm Macdonald getting thrown out of the places so many times, and it gets hilarious every single time. You see him getting thrown out of buildings, you see him getting thrown into trash cans, you see him getting thrown into like things. And surprisingly, they even found a way to make a good joke about rape. I mean, that's just something that, rape is very hard to make funny for obvious reasons, but I'll tell you what, they found a way to make it work. And I mean, it's probably one of the few times in history where something as wrong as rape can actually be seen as something funny, which should never be funny in real life, by the way. Rape is a serious thing, but give Bob Saget credit. He found a way to make it funny, but it's only one of the few times it actually makes it work. But by far, the best joke in the entire movie is when both Mitch and Sam, they're brought to this guy's house whose neighbors are making too much noise to get revenge on them. So they have this elaborate scene where they show them throwing dead fishes all over the house. And then the people come to the house and you realize that they're mobsters. So they basically go hiding in the house, each holding 2 fishes for no reason. And what happens next is just some of the most brilliant, hilarious, insane comedy you'll ever see. And even then you don't even see it. It's just dialogue over the scene, but the way these guys are just putting their all into this performance, it's one of the few. It's another one of those things where it's one of the few times where they have the whole show don't tell trick in Hollywood. It's allowed to be broken here because it leads to such a hilarious moment, and just the build up, the way that everybody's talking while this is going on. Like you hear people talking about, grab this. I used it to cut firewood. Is that a hand grenade? Like that type of stuff. It's just like. And you just see Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang with these blank stare faces, like they have no idea what the hell is going on. Like, I'm pretty sure that I seriously want to believe that they did not have that playing in the background, because I don't know how you could have that sitting there, these two guys standing there, blank face, and not laugh your ass off when that happens. And honestly, this movie makes several of those cliches work. I mean, they have there's one scene where they're working at a movie theater and they want to get revenge on the owner, played by Don Rickles, who's got this big thing for the theater owners, and one of the movies they're playing is Men in Black. So they decide to switch the film out with a film that's literally titled Men in Black Who Like to Have Sex with Each Other. And the movie, you just hear it and it goes like, and one of the guys is just like, "Look, an alien," and the other guy's just like, "You're right, we better have sex with each other." It's just like, just bland dialogue like that. It's one of those. It's another one of those show don't tell things that kind of works in this film, because like just the performances alone, or the voice work is what makes it work and what makes it hilarious. There's a lot of great cameos in here too. You got a great running gag about Chevy Chase and his bookie. Chris Farley in one of his and I think his last film role is great as this guy who gets his nose bit off by a quote Saigon whore. And there's even a funny Adam Sandler cameo with him as the devil and Gary Coleman in it too, which it sounds bizarre, but it just works. It just works on so many levels, and it's a straight up laugh out loud comedy, man. This is a film that packs a ton of laughs, a lot of great comedic performances all around. It's a really great direction by Bob Saget. It's a shame he didn't direct more movies like this. I know he did one other movie, Farce of the Penguins, which is a very underrated film that kind of went straight to DVD about 10 years after this movie came out, but he hasn't really done a whole lot in terms of directing. But, not everything about Dirty Work works, but the stuff that does work really works. This is a comedy that most definitely needs a lot more attention, and it has gotten that, and thankfully you can buy a Blu-ray version of this and a DVD version of this at a reasonable price. And let me tell you something, it's worth it. This is definitely a comedy that is well worth a search for. It's a damn great film. I can't recommend it enough. Dirty Work, such a funny movie. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Cousin Bette.
Why won't you discuss it? I'm half your size! Oh, shut up!
Love is sweet.
It seems romance counts for everything these days. That's a joke!
But revenge is sweeter.
I'm sure you'll have all the happiness you deserve.
Life is so boring, don't you think?
So you have Jessica Lange playing Cousin Bet, who's a poor and lonely seamstress who, after the death of her prominent and wealthy sister, tries to integrate herself into the lives of her brother-in-law, Baron Hulot, and her niece, Hortense Hulot. Failing to do so, she instead finds solace and company in the handsome young sculptors she saves from starvation. But the aspiring artist soon finds love in the arms of another woman, Hortense, leaving Bet a bitter spinster. Bet plots to take her revenge on the family who turned her away and stole her early love. With the help of famed courtesan Jenny Kading, she slowly destroys the lives of who scorned her. And a great cast overall in this movie: Jessica Lange, Elizabeth Shue, Kelly MacDonald, Hugh Laurie, Bob Hoskins, Geraldine Chaplin, Toby Jones. Great cast here. I've never seen the movie, so I don't know if it's any good enough. I know that this is also directed by the person who did Rocky and Bullwinkle, the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie, which is not as bad of a movie, I think, as most people give it credit for. But we'll eventually get to that one when we get to 2000. But as far as this film goes, I don't really know if it's any good or not. I've never seen it before, so quick one on that one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, and that is High Art.
Deadline. We'll get something intimate. Trust me, okay? Just come with me. Can I take pictures of you? You look really sexy, actually. It's hot in here. No, you're hot.
I think we all know where that's going to go. You have this woman who lives with her boyfriend, James, goes to complain to her neighbor about the leak in her ceiling, and her neighbor is this photographer, and she ends up falling in love with her. And like I said, I think you can pretty much tell where that's going to end up going. And as far as the movie itself goes, I don't really know because I haven't seen the film. It's got Ali Sheedy in it, Radha Mitchell, and it's gotten a lot of good reviews. A lot of people praise Ali Sheedy for this. Really, I wish I could tell you more about it. I know this director, Lisa Cholodenko, she went on to direct a couple other movies of noteworthiness, Laurel Canyon, and also The Kids Are Alright. I really like The Kids Are Alright. I've never seen Laurel Canyon, though. But this one's got some positive word of mouth going for it, so I don't deny it's probably a good film, so maybe it is a good film. I might check it out one day, but I really don't know too much about it. Just know it came out this weekend. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film then, The Land Girls.
Emerson Pictures proudly presents the story of 3 young women and the war that would change their lives.
Don't let go of what you want. Stella! When you find it, you hold it.
I love you, Stella.
Oh, the sweet child.
The friendships that would stay with them forever.
To all of us.
Hip hip. Hurrah!
And the loves that would change their hearts.
I love you, Jay. I love you.
The Land Girls.
Story centers around the title basically referring to the real-life British women who were called upon to assist rural Englanders when men left their farms to fight in the First and Second World Wars. You have Catherine McCormick, Rachel Weisz, Anna Friel among her cast. Paul Bettany's in there as well. That's really all I know about this one because I've never seen this movie. I honestly never even heard about it before I looked this up. But got decent reviews for it, praising for cinematography. And other than that, though, that's really all I know about this movie. I know I'm not really saying a whole lot about this one, but I've never seen it before, so I can't really tell you a whole much about it. But another quick one on that one, that's The Land Girls. So we can be quick on the last one, too, since I haven't seen that one either. That is The Beyond.
But that's not true. It's not possible. I was there.
This house was constructed on one of this. Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway, evil will invade the world.
Directed by Lucio Fulci as part of his Gates of Hell trilogy. It's the second film in that series after The City of the Living Dead and before The House of the Cemetery. You basically have a story where a woman inherits a hotel in rural Louisiana that was once the site of a horrific murder, which may be a gateway to hell. This is actually a film that came out in 1981 and was re-released through Quentin Tarantino's Rolling Thunder Pictures, as well as Grindhouse releasing at Cowboy Booking International. and they re-released it in theaters under that name. And again, that's really all I know about it. I don't really know if it's any good. Probably has a cult following because it was part of the video nasty era of the 80s, so a lot of those movies have gone on to have massive cult followings over the years, so I don't deny that this one definitely has it. Plus, Lucio Fulci has made a lot of notable movies that people like, and I think this is one of those films, so not much more to say about that one. So yeah, that's The Beyond.
For years, the world has seen reality distorted, facts manipulated, and truth hidden. But there's even more to the story than anyone has ever suspected, because no one has been able to see the whole picture. Until now.
Mulder?
Cherish the past. Enjoy the present. Because the truth is coming.
So I saw that trailer for the first time watching the Home Alone 3 VHS when I was little. I'd not even heard of the X-Files at that point. I knew later on down the road that it eventually was a TV series, because when I watched The Simpsons on Fox, it would always have a promo for it, because of course the X-Files came on an hour after The Simpsons. Truth be told, I've actually not seen the entire series. I've seen a couple of one-off episodes here and there. I think the one that sticks out to me personally, was the one where they did like a Cops crossover with Mulder and Scully on there. There was that one. There's been a couple of other really good episodes. Really, I didn't really get fully invested in the show. It's something I've been wanting to get into, honestly, because I do like David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson playing these characters, and I do like the chemistry they have in this show from the few episodes that I saw. So I will say that watching the movie, I think this is a movie that you really need to see the TV series to really get the full enjoyment factor out of it. I know that's what I felt when I saw this movie. This basically takes place between the season finale for Season 5 and then the Season 6 premiere, which I could be wrong on this, but I think Season 5 was intended to be the last season of the show. Like I said, I could be completely wrong on that front, and that's why this movie came to be, but again, I'm not saying that as if I know for sure. I think that was what I heard, but you basically have a story here that's based on the series' extraterrestrial mythology. You have Mulder and Scully back to from their usual jobs on the X-Files. They're out of that and investigating the bombing of a building and the destruction of criminal evidence, and they uncover what appears to be a government conspiracy attempting to hide the truth about an alien colonization of Earth. And the interesting thing about this is that they started writing this back in 1996, and they actually filmed this in 97 after the end of the 4th season. So you had to do a full 5th season of the show before you could actually get to the story for this. And I think that's a very interesting thing of what they were able to do here, to figure out, like, you still haven't done this. They still haven't filmed the 5th season up to that point, and so you have this happening after the 5th season. So I'm kind of curious of how that actually transpired there, which they probably had it mapped out pretty much in 96 when they started writing it. And like I said, I think it's better represented if you've seen the TV show, because there's a lot of elements in here that a newcomer may not be fully invested in what right away. But from the little bit of the show that I've seen, I was able to follow it pretty well. And I do like how in the beginning we actually get to see Mulder and Scully not dealing with the world of the X-Files. They actually doing what FBI agents do. They investigate a bomb threat. And there's this whole tension-filled scene where they're trying to get everybody out of there. And there's actually some really good acting and some really good effects used in terms of the action sequences. The movie as a whole is pretty well done. And I think that even for somebody like me who didn't come into this movie knowing too much about what had happened through the other episodes of the show, I've still found a way to actually get a lot of real investment out of it. I think there's a lot of good acting overall from Duchovny and Anderson. They bring in people like Owen Marl-Stoll. They have Mitch Pileggi back as the as the Smoking Man, as well as John Neville and William B. Davis as Walter Skinner and the Well-Manicured Man. They even bring in veterans like Martin Landau, Blythe Danner. They do bring in some pretty good talent in this movie overall, and again, this is coming from somebody who has never seen the entire X-Files TV series as a whole, so like I said, I think if I'd seen the series all the way through up to this point, I think I'd have more of an appreciation towards the film, but as far as it goes, I think it's perfectly fine for what it is. I think for a relative newcomer, they might get a little bit confused at first, but I think once the story gets going and you actually figure out what these guys do and what is, I think I think it would work pretty well overall. But like I said, I think it's much better if you have a full understanding of the TV series itself. You should watch the TV series as a whole, which I still have yet to do. I've just been too busy to get to the actual TV series as a whole. So one day I will get to do that, because I do want to check the show out. I mean, I've seen more than enough episodes that makes me want to watch the show on a regular bit. Is from the very beginning to when it ended. Like I said, I think this is better represented for the people who have been longtime fans of the show. But for newcomers, it's not a bad way to get introduced to the show. I think, but like I said, it's probably better if you've been watching it from the very beginning to really get a full understanding of what's going on. But for me, someone that's coming into the show relatively new, I thought it worked just fine for what it was. So yeah, like I said, it's a show I've been wanting to get into for a long time now, but I just have not had the time to do. But I'm glad I saw the movie though. So that's the X-Files. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Disney's latest animated film, Mulan.
About you, Mulan. You took your father's armor, ran away from home, impersonated a soldier, endangered the lives of thousands of men, and destroyed my palace. But soon the world will know the great things you have done. The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter.
So this is a story that you pretty much already know about if you've seen this movie already. It takes place during the Han Dynasty, where you have Fa Mulan, played by Ming-Na Wen, a daughter of this aged warrior who impersonates a man to take her father's place during a general conscription to counter a Hun invasion. And this was actually one of the 3 films that were produced primarily at the Disney Studios in Florida instead of in Hollywood, at the Disney MGM Studios when they still had the animation studio there. And honestly, Mulan, I think, was just what Disney needed up to that point. The last couple of movies they had done had become a little bit too generic, stuff like Pocahontas, Hercules. Hunchback of Notre Dame was a nice step in the right direction, but this one was a definite welcoming change of pace for the studio, mostly because of what they were able to do with the main character. And this year, they don't really go for the typical princess route with Mulan. They give her the personality of a typical male Disney action hero, but give it to a female. And you have to give them credit for doing so in the way that they did here, paying homage to the legend that they were basing this off. And Ming-Na is, I think, perfectly casted as Mulan. She's got this great voice that can allow her to not just play a woman, but also the male she's trying to come off as. And you have a really good cast involved here as well. B.D. Wong, of course, Eddie Murphy as Mushu, Harvey Fierstein, Geddy Watanabe, James Hong, Pat Morita, George Takei. This is a really good, strong cast that just works as well as it should. The music is also very well done here. The score is done by Jerry Goldsmith, the late Jerry Goldsmith, and he does a great job giving the music for this the epicness that it needs. And the songs are really good too. Of course, everyone knows that I'll Make a Man Out of You is probably the best song featured in the entire movie. And on the soundtrack of that subject, the animation overall is just downright incredible. That mountain action sequence it's one of the best animated sequences Disney had done up to that point. It's just one of the many animated highlights this film has to offer. Now, there are a couple flaws to the movie. The story structure itself is a little too generic, and you know good and damn well they got to do the lie reveal cliche, and it's just as annoying here as it usually ends up being with movies using this cliche format. But probably the biggest flaw of the film is the main villain, who's voiced by Miguel Ferrero. The dude was generic and boring as hell. I mean, it's a shame because this guy is a really damn good actor. He's got the perfect voice to be the bad guy here. But this is just the most generic, most bland, most poorly drawn bad guy Disney's ever done. I mean, even his facial structure is off big time. They switched the way the eyes look on him just to make him more of a threat, to completely make him his generic plan, too. You guessed it, take over the world, and of course, that seems fine, but it's because of how intimidating he looks. I mean, I guess that's how he's supposed to get away with that, but when in actuality, when you look at him, he just looks weird, and his motivations are plans are bland and forgettable, much like the villain itself. I mean, I think they did this concept. I think DreamWorks did this concept a little bit better with now I can't remember his name from Kung Fu Panda, the villain in that one, Ian McShane's character. Now it's gonna bug me. Tai Lung. If Tai Lung had had a design similar to the villain in this movie, I think this movie would have been I think he would have been a lot better of a villain, but as he is, like, despite the fact he's got a great voice actor behind him, it's just a bland villain. I mean, besides that, Mulan, I think, is definitely a bigger stepping stone for Disney by making this strong female character who doesn't just sit around to be the damsel in distress and actually becomes a badass of a hero, someone like Aladdin or Hercules or any of the leading male heroes in the Disney universe. I mean, had the story had a little bit more twists and turns and the villain been a little bit better, this is probably would have been up there with Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King as one of their stronger movies, but it doesn't quite get there. But it is mostly enjoyable with some noticeable flaws there, but it's worth a watch. And really, if you saw Mulan 2 or the live-action remake that came after this, I've grown to have a little bit more of an appreciation towards it, honestly, more than I would have had before. But yeah, not a perfect movie overall, but I still think it's good enough to really recommend it. The original Mulan, a good film, definitely could have been a whole lot better, though. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Have Plenty.
Ha. Yeah. For the 9-8.
Lee Plenty has never been lucky in love.
You don't have a date on New Year's Eve.
That's just the way things work out sometimes.
If you're not doing anything tonight, you want to come down here?
Sure, I'm there.
But this weekend he's about to go from nothing.
You have lipstick in your teeth.
To plenty.
Are you making a pass at me?
That depends on what happens in the next 5 seconds.
5 seconds is over.
His moves aren't always smooth.
Real men can take a drink. That's how you know I'm cool.
The odds aren't always on his side.
You're thinking that I deserve better than Michael.
Hey, low 40, baby.
And answers aren't always easy.
I know you're in love with my sister.
How do you know that?
Why are you washing your hands with cheese?
Your sister just tried to kiss me.
Really?
Downstairs in the kitchen, we were just...
And hilarity ensues. Lee Plenty is a flailing wannabe writer, homeless and apartment sitting for his friend, the wealthy Haviland Savage, while she is off visiting family, and Lee jumps at the chance to see Haviland, who has secretly loved for years, when he's invited to her New Year's Eve party. But the night leads to romantic complications that also involve Hav's recording artist boyfriend, Michael Simmons, played by Hill Harper, and her best friend, Carolyn, and also her married sister, Lee. And it's just a film that's just... I feel like it's a film that's all over the place. It doesn't really have a whole lot there to really make it a noteworthy film overall. It's a pretty forgettable movie. I saw this one a long time ago, and I barely remember anything from it, quite honestly. It felt like the guy who was making this, Christopher Scott Sherrill, was trying to do what Spike Lee had done over 10 years prior to this, which She's Gotta Have It in School Days, trying to have that kind of a rise of his career. But I think Spike Lee did it much better than I think this guy did. I think he took a lot of inspiration from Spike Lee, but just the story overall isn't really enough to really push the movie towards something incredible or something amazing. It just feels like it's kind of just there. It just feels like kind of a generic movie, honestly, from what I remember from it. I don't remember it having too much of an impact on me personally, or seeing it and having any lasting memories about it. It just felt like it was there, came and went, and not a lot of people really talk about it, honestly. But that's just my remembrance of it. I don't think it's a good movie, but I don't know. Maybe it has a following to it that I'm just not seeing from it. So that's had plenty. So let's go ahead and on to the next movie, and that is Henry Fool.
And a bad influence.
The man is a scoundrel. He's a fraud.
He's going to be the next president of the United States of America.
Keep dreaming, Warren. The guy's a Nazi.
Why do they torment me like this?
Who is this person? Do I know him? His name is Henry Fool.
So this is directed by Hal Hartley, and you see Parker Posey in there, but you also may notice that James Urbaniak, a.k.a. Dr. Venture from the Venture Brothers, is also in here as well. And set like previous Hartley films in a less affluent part of Long Island, it recounts how the lives of a fatherless family are overturned by a mysterious outsider, and how expectation and reality again conflict. That's pretty much all I know about this movie, because I have never seen it. I've never seen any film by Hal Hartley, so I really can't say for certain if this movie's any good or not. But it's got some pretty solid reviews, so maybe it is something pretty. Maybe it is actually something good. But like I said, I don't really know too much about it. All I know, it's got Dr. Venture in it and Parker Posey in it, because Parker Posey was in a lot of independent movies back then before she eventually made her name well known. So yeah, not much more to say about that one, and not much more to say about the last movie either, because I have not seen that one. That is Dreamform and Insomniac.
You used to call it a Fifi. I mean, isn't that nice?
I'm sorry, but that just does not work for me. Eddie Vedder is very much like Bono was a decade ago.
Eddie Vedder will never change the spectacle that Bono has become.
Who's Eddie Vedder?
Scared of that.
Do you know how disgruntled workers shoot people in the post office? This place is next.
So the film follows a girl with insomnia who works at a coffee house. She has impossibly high standards for her love and fears she will never meet a worthy man. And then walks in a new employee, and they click until she discovers he has a girlfriend. Undaunted, she moves to L.A. with a friend sure that he will dump the girlfriend and follow her. She puts all her faith in fate and hopes for the best. You have Ione Skye in here, as well as Jennifer Aniston, and I think this was made in 1996. And eventually got a release here in 1998. That's what I think I see from here. But Ione Skye, Jennifer Aniston's in here too. But that's pretty much all I know about this one. I haven't seen this one, so I can't really say if it's any good. The producer of this is actually Christopher Lloyd, and not the Christopher Lloyd you're thinking of, not Doc Brown, but from Frasier and Modern Family. He's the producer on this one, so I don't know. Maybe it's got something in there. Plus, Jennifer Aniston's performance got praised for this, so I don't know, maybe it could be something, but that's pretty much all I know about Dreamform and Insomniac.
For thousands of years, animals have been trying to tell us something. But their cries have fallen on deaf ears. Until they found John Doolittle.
Now what?
And now they won't shut up.
Hey, where's he think he's gonna put that?
You don't want to know.
Don't let him stick that thing up my hello!
20th Century Fox presents Eddie Murphy.
You're gonna have to give you CPR. You know how to do CPR?
CPR? I can't even spell it. He's about to die.
Dr. Doolittle.
It's a false alarm. It's just gas.
Whoa, you're telling me.
Interesting thing about Dr. Doolittle is that there's many different versions. Everyone knows the Rex Harrison version from 1967, which is a musical of the same name, and that's more of a closer adaptation to the book. There's, of course, these movies, and then there's the Dr. Doolittle movie that Robert Downey Jr. starred in, which tried to go back to more of what the Rex Harrison film was, even though it kind of failed on that front there. I could see why people think of it as a bad movie, but I don't hate it as much as everybody else does. These movies I'm more relative to, because these came out during a time when I grew up with them, and basically the same concept. It's based on a series of children's stories of the same name by Hugh Lofting, but they use no materials from any of the novels. In fact, everything's put into a modern day setting when you have this doctor, John Doolittle, and his ability to talk to animals. Although the Pushimu Pulio, which is a much loved feature of the books, notably makes a very brief appearance in a couple of scenes in this movie. And I have to give the movie credit for doing something a little bit different than I would have expected for an Eddie Murphy Dr. Doolittle movie. And I think they did a pretty good job with it. I think it is a very solid film. Eddie Murphy fits the role very well here. It's got a strong voice cast overall here. I mean, this thing is jam-packed with stars. I mean, you expect it for a film of this caliber. You know, Norm Macdonald is the dog, Albert Brooks playing a Bengal tiger, Chris Rock, Rene Santoni, John Leguizamo, Julie Kavner, Gary Shandling, Elle DeGeneres, Brian Doyle Murray, Phil Proctor, Jenna Elfman, Gilbert Godfrey, Paul Rubens, Jonathan Lipnicki. There's just a strong cast in the animation department. Not even the animation department, but just in the voice cast alone. And then you throw in people like Ossie Davis and Oliver Platt and Peter Boyle, Richard Schiff, Kristen Wilson, Jeffrey Tambor, Kyla Pratt, Raven Simone, Paul Giamatti has a cameo in here. I mean, they packed the stars in on this movie. Gilbert Godfrey is also one of the voices in this. As far as the movie itself goes, I think it's a fun movie. I think it definitely has a lot of elements that make it a fun film. You really do like the comedy and the camaraderie between Eddie Murphy and the characters and the animals he has to interact with Chris Rock and Norm Macdonald in particular. And the movie is just a ton of fun. I remember laughing a lot more than I would have thought of with this film. I mean, they do a pretty good job of giving you just enough there to really give you something to really appreciate with. It's not The Nutty Professor. It's not on that same level, but I mean, it does a pretty good job of coming about as close as you can get with it. I mean, like I said, these are the movies that I grew up with when it comes to Dr. Dolittle. I didn't grow up with the Rex Harrison one, and I was a little bit older for the Robert Downey Jr. ones. These are the movies that I grew up with. These are the ones that I grew up with more. I definitely think this is the best of the four, at least in my personal opinion it is. I'd say definitely check it out. Dr. Dolittle, a fun little movie overall. It gives you exactly what you kind of hope for with it. Directed by Betty Thomas, too, I should mention, who also did the Brady Bunch movie, and she did Private Parts, of course, which are two of my favorite movies, so two of my favorite comedies of hers, so yeah, I kind of enjoyed it for what she does with this. So that's Dr. Dolittle. But let's get to probably the best movie that came out this weekend, and that is Steven Soderbergh's Out of Sight.
Oh, Robert, your first time being on. Doing great. They were made for each other. Sure, easy to talk to. But sometimes your career. I wear one of these. I don't ski. Can kill a relationship.
Turn around and get your hands up there. Hey, put the holes in your car.
George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez, Ving Rhames, and Albert Brooks.
Be surprised what you can get asked for it the right way.
Out of Sight. This film is not yet rated. Starts June 26th.
There's a lot of interesting little history in between what goes on in this movie and what goes on afterwards. First of all, this is directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Scott Frank, and adapted from Elmore Leonard's book of the same name, which you're going to notice from some cameos in this particular film. You got George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is a U.S. Marshal, Karen Sisco, and George Clooney is a bank robber. When they meet, and they meet as she's trying to bring him in, and they eventually fall for each other, and it leads to a lot of complications in between the two of them and their jobs and what they're trying to do. But not only that, but you have Ving Rhames, Don Cheadle, Dennis Farina, Nancy Allen, Steve Zahn, Catherine Keener, Albert Brooks. Michael Keaton briefly plays his role from Jackie Brown in this movie as the Samuel L. Jackson, who has a cameo in here. But not only that, of course, this led to a spin-off series for Karen Sisco starring Carla Gugino, which was actually really good. But unfortunately, it didn't last it only lasted one season, but it was actually a pretty decent show, and she would actually later reprise that role on an episode of Justified, and since Justified was based off a Elmore Leonard novel as well, and speaking of that, Paul Calderon, who plays Raymond Cruz in this movie, reprises that role in the recently aired miniseries Justified City Primeval. So there's a lot of interesting different universes coming together in this all starting with this film. This is just a very fun, stylish movie. I love Steven Soderbergh's work, and George Clooney, how can you go wrong with him? Jennifer Lopez works very well here. I mean, looking sexy as all hell in this movie. I mean, the trailers for this movie literally have a scene where they're just showing you her taking her clothes off. I mean, well, George Clooney too, so we can appeal to both the men and the women. So, but they work off each other very well here. The comedy is very good. The writing overall is top notch. The acting overall is great. It's just a fun, stylized movie that just. I go back to it on a number of different occasions. I have a good time watching this movie every single time. I think it's one of Steven Soderbergh's best movies. And I like a lot of his movies, but this is one of my favorites, and ones I always go back to every once in a while. It's a great film, really well done, great visuals, great comedy, great action. I can't recommend it enough. Out of Sight is a terrific film. Seek it out if you haven't seen it already. You will not be disappointed by it. And see if you can find Karen Sisco, too, the TV series. I will tell you, it's a very good show that sadly did not get the appreciation that it deserves. It was canceled before its time. I'd say definitely check that show out if you can find it somewhere. You will not be disappointed by that either. So that's Out of Sight. Oh, and Justified and Justified City Primeval. Not like I need to tell you to watch those shows, because most of you probably have already had. But if you're not, seek those shows out as well. So that's Out of Sight. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is the re-release of Gone with the Wind.
Available on video. See Gone with the Wind as you've never seen it before in its original Technicolor glory and with a remastered digital soundtrack. The romance.
Kiss me once.
The event.
As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again.
Bring home the biggest film of all time, the way it was meant to be seen. Gone with the Wind.
Of course, Gone with the Wind. I don't think I need to tell you what the plot is, but in case you want to know, this is set in the American South against the backdrop of the American Civil War and the Reconstruction era, and follows the story of Scarlett O'Hara, played by Vivien Leigh, who's the strong-willed daughter of a Georgia plantation owner, and following her romantic pursuit of Ashley Wilkes, played by Leslie Howard, who's married to her cousin Melanie Hamilton, played by Olivia de Havilland, and her subsequent marriage to Red Butler, played by Clark Gable. This is a film that has a lot of production history, but it's also went on to win 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Actress for Vivien Leigh, Best Supporting Actress for Hattie McDaniel, actually becoming the first African-American to win an Academy Award, which is unprecedented for the time. And it's a film that has stood the test of time. It's faced a lot of controversies over the years. It's been criticized for historical negationism, glorifying slavery and the lost cause of the Confederacy myth, but it's also been credited for triggering changes in the way African Americans were depicted cinematically. It's a film that has been regarded as many as one of the greatest films of all time, and me personally, I like it. I don't love it. I think stuff like Citizen Kane and Casablanca, those classic movies still hold up well. Those are some of my favorite movies of all time. So I think those movies hold up a lot better than Gone with the Wind does. But Gone with the Wind has just so much there that you have to appreciate, just on the visual and technical level alone. The production history they had to deal with. Vivien Leigh is very good here. Clark Gable. Like, it's a very good film. It's an entertaining film. It has flaws. It has a lot of notable flaws to it. I won't go as far as to say it's a cinematic masterpiece by any means, but I don't think it's as bad as most people give it credit. I don't think it's well, not even bad. I don't think it's as great as everybody makes it out to be, but it's not a bad movie either. It just doesn't have that lasting longevity to me compared to some of these other movies that came out around that time that still hold up after all these years, like Citizen Kane and Casablanca. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this isn't a great movie. It would have been interesting to see this on a big screen as they put this back in theaters for, I guess, maybe the 60th anniversary or something like that. I don't know why they put it back out there, but they put it out there. It was given a complete audio and video restoration when they had the 50th anniversary, and then released by Warner Brothers, who had just bought MGM at that point in 1998, yeah, like I said, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie per se, but I do think it's a good film overall. If you want to see a great piece of filmmaking in terms of the technical and visual levels, definitely seek this one out. I think it's more than worth it. I think most people have seen this movie, but if you've not, it's kind of required to go check this movie out. Even if you don't end up liking it in the end, it's kind of required viewing, honestly. So that's Gone with the Wind. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Smoke Signals.
You have to remember one thing, Victor. He went back for you.
Smoke Signals.
So you've got the story of two Native Americans, Arnold, who rescues Thomas from a fire when he was a child. Thomas thinks of Arnold as a hero, while Arnold's son Victor resents his father's alcoholism, violence, and abandonment of his family. What's notable about this movie is that this is the first movie that is written, directed, and produced by Native Americans. And it's actually based on a book of short stories called The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fistfight in Heaven. Adam Beach is in it. Irene Bedard, I think, is Pocahontas, if I'm not mistaken. Is she Pocahontas? Yeah, she's Pocahontas. But that's pretty much all I know about this movie. I've never seen it before, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. But it's got a lot of good reviews. A lot of people really liked it. It got 2 thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert, so I don't deny it's probably a good movie. So Not much more I can say about that one. So that's Smoke Signals. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is Buffalo 66. I wish I could show you that trailer because that trailer is amazing, but a couple things. One, even though this is technically a Lionsgate movie, I think Universal owns the rights to this, and Universal is very hard pressed when it comes to putting clips from their movies on there. So I only took a little bit from that trailer, but most of the trailer is just music and there's no dialogue in there. But so that's why I can't show it to you. But like I said, if you can find that trailer, seek it out because it's a damn good trailer. It's the directorial debut for Vincent Gallo, who gave us The Brown Bunny, and he stars in this along with Christina Ricci as well as Ben Gazzara and Angelica Houston. And you have Gallo playing a man who kidnaps a young tap dancer named Layla, played by Ricci, and is forced to pretend to be his wife to impress his parents, played by Gazzara and Houston, after getting released from prison. You also have Rosanna Arquette, Mickey Rourke, Jan Michael Vincent in here as well. And the title of this refers to the Buffalo Bills, the NFL team, who have not won a championship since 1965, the AFL championship game, which was actually played on December 26, 1965. The plot includes indirect references to the Bills' narrow loss to the New York Giants in Super Bowl 35, and which of course was decided by a missed field goal, wide right, Scott Norwood. Do the history on that, fun people. I'm here to just talk about the movie, and this is a really good movie, and just on that visual level alone, I think the trailer really suckered a lot of people in, myself included. I was just kind of like, what a bizarre-looking film, and what a cool-looking concept. And the movie definitely delivers on that. It has a great soundtrack with a lot of British progressive rock music. Vincent Gallo's very good in the film, and Christina Ricci continues to blossom into this rising young actress that keeps growing, that kept getting better and better with each film. We talked about her in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It was a big year for her in 1998 to show everybody that, hey, she's a really good actress, and this movie definitely shows that. It's a really good movie. I'd say definitely check it out. Buffalo 66. I'd say definitely check it out. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is Picnic at Hanging Rock. So this is actually a re-release of a 1975 Australian mystery film, which is directed by Peter Weir, who this summer had The Truman Show. And I guess they re-released this because of that. This was one of the films that helped to draw international attention to the then emerging Australian new wave of cinema, which of course would later lead to something like Mad Max becoming the big success that it was. You basically have a story about several schoolgirls and their teacher during a picnic at Hanging Rock, Victoria, on Valentine's Day in 1900, and the subsequent effects of the local community. This film is notable because it also has Jackie Weaver, who would later go on to be nominated for an Oscar for a role in Animal Kingdom in 2010. And with that, I don't really know too much else about the movie overall. I thought I thought the trailer looked kind of interesting. It's kind of a 1970s trailer where they basically show you much of the movie itself and is without really showing you the entire plot of the film. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen it before, so I can't really say too much about it. But the trailer convinced me that it could be somewhat interesting. But that's Picnic at Hanging Rock. So on to the last film we have here, and that is Dear Jessie.
Lines to find out that this apparently is a homosexual thing.
Dear Jessie, for a long time, I thought we had nothing in common, but I was wrong. For most of your 24 years in the United States Senate, you've been obsessed with homosexual men. For most of my adult life, so have I.
At first, you think of Helms as a kind of caricature of everything that most embarrasses you about being a North Carolinian. And then slowly you come back to the notion that there are many qualities that are admirable in this man.
So this is a documentary set in the first-person narrative style in the form of a letter to Senator Jesse Helms, Republican from North Carolina. The filmmaker explores the parallels and differences between himself, an openly gay man, and the anti-gay rights public servant. And the film also features interviews with Helms' foes and fans, community activists, I should say, not communist activists, novelist Lee Smith and Alan Gorganis, openly gay Caribou Mayor Mike Nelson, and people in the street, including a brief interview with Matthew Shepard, then a student at Catawba College. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Catawba College? It's a college in Salisbury, North Carolina. Like I said, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but if I did, I'm sorry. But I really don't know too much about this movie. I've never seen it before, never heard of it. Could be good. That's pretty much all I could give you on that one. So that's pretty much it. So that's Dear Jesse.